So I want us to now talk about content generation. Now I've made this video very many times. Many times, but it kept on getting destroyed in the middle because the things stopped coming out the way I want them to come out. So I will not be putting the putting this thing again, this prompt again. So I'll just explain to you how the prompt works, and then you'll use it like that. Now, when you want to create this book, when you want to create content for your book, I want you to use ChatGPT. Yes, use ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is the best for generating content. As I've told you before, OpenAI said there's no machine that can detect content generated by AI. None of them is accurate. Yes, none of them is accurate. Therefore, that means Amazon does not actually have a way to track whether your content is AI generated or not. So what does that mean? That means that you can now generate content from ChatGPT here. Take to your paraphrase, take to your Microsoft Word document, and then check for plagiarism. After checking for plagiarism, then if there's nothing which is plagiarized, you can just post. You can put on Amazon the way you want. Yes. So no need to go through the stress of trying to check that whether content is AI generated or not. Just produce your content. Now that brings us to this thing of our that brings us to this thing where we're going to be producing short books. Yes. So to produce short books, this is the prompt that I use. So you can create your own prompt. Yes, you can create your own prompt and use. Don't cram prompts. Yes, it's not good to cram prompts. Create your own prompt. How do you create your own prompt? You go ahead and do trial and error. Now when you're creating your prompt, you make sure you include things that you want, things that are supposed to be there. Include the things that are supposed to be there in your prompt in the content. Now let's say this one, for example, I have this one. It says create a table of content. The first thing I always do is to create a table of content. Yes, so I tell it to create a table of content with 30 recipes for, then I bring the title here, the 30-minute Mediterranean diet cookbook for beginners. Yes, so this is what I've told it: create a table of content with 30 recipes for the 30-minute Mediterranean diet cookbook for beginners. So I want it to actually create for me a table of content. Now I put here full stop, then I go ahead and tell it now, let the recipes be grouped into 5 categories with equal number of recipes for breakfast that can be cooked in 30 minutes or less, lunch that can be cooked in 30 minutes or less, yes, dinner for 30 minutes or less, dessert for 30 minutes or less, and snacks for 30 minutes or less. Yes, you can see what I've done. So I want 30 recipes. But 5 into 5 categories. Yes, and then I want these 30 recipes to be divided equally among these recipes in the 5 categories. Yes, so that's what I've told these to actually produce. So after, when I clicked enter, and then it said sure thing, here's a laid back table of content for 30 minutes Mediterranean diet cookbook for beginners. So then it gave me the table of content, as you can see here. So you can see there is breakfast 6 recipes, lunch 6 recipes, dinner 6, like that until this is the end now. Yes, so now since it has given me the recipes, now I can read through here and see if I like the recipes. If I don't like them, I can just click on, there's a button which always comes here for refreshing. You refresh and then it will give you new recipes. So now we go to the next prompt. Yes, so the second prompt is this one here, which now generates for you the content. Yes, so the second prompt is for generating the content. So I said write recipe name, comma, ingredients, comma, 8-sentence instruction. Yes, so you see this, I've said 8-sentence instruction. That means I want each of my instructions to be 8 sentences. You don't cram this. You can tell it to give you to restrict the number of sentences according to the space you have in your book. If you're using a 5.5 by 8.5 or even smaller space, if you know that the space for the instruction are smaller, and then restrict the number of sentences for the instruction. Yes, so I said 8-sentence instruction. You can say 7-sentence instruction, 6-sentence instruction, or 5-sentence instruction. Now when it is describing, it will limit the number of words, but it will make sure that it brings out the point. Yes, so you tell it 8-sentence or even 10-sentence. If you want a longer one, you can say 12-sentence instructions for the instructions. Yes, for each recipe for each recipe. You can see for each recipe, and include preparation and cooking time. Yes, so you can include anything you want here. You can tell it to increase preparation time, increase the cooking time. You can include servings, number of people it can serve. You can tell it to include notes. You can tell it to include anything you want it to include. Yes, so after this, after giving it this, then I clicked on enter, and now gave me the recipes according to the way I want. Now let's look at this. Now you see this first one, it says recipe number one, Mediterranean avocado toast. Then it gave me the ingredients, it gave me the preparation and cooking time, which it said 10 minutes. Remember, our thing is 30 minutes or less. I said 30 minutes or less. So 10 minutes is less than 30 minutes, so that means this can still work. Yes, so that means this can still work. Now as you can see, this is both preparation and cooking time is only 10 minutes, so that means it is a quick recipe. Now you can go ahead and check this. You can see the instructions. You can see that it has given me 1 2 3 4 5. It has given me 5, yet I told it to give me 7. Yes, now if you tell it to give you, I told you to give me 8, but it gave me 5. If you tell it to give you 8 and it gives you 5, that means this recipe cannot go beyond 8 sentence. Yes, that means it was small, it could not go beyond 8 sentence, so it decided to give you 5 only. So you go with that, you take those 5, but then the rest for others, I think it will give me all the 8 or even 7. For example, you see this one gave me 7, that means it cannot go beyond 7. It looked for the words to go beyond 7 and failed to get the word to go beyond 7, so that means it need stop there. But if the recipe is long, then you can summarize it. So you can see this one is 6, this one is 8, this particular one is 8. That means it actually had the capacity to go beyond 8. Yes, so as you can see, this is how you generate the content. Yes, so after generating this content, now you go ahead and copy the content. Now for me, I want to take 15. I want to take 15 of them to use in this example, because I don't want the video to be too long. So I'm going to show you step by step how to do it, but I want to just copy it. You see recipe 1 up to 15, then I divide them accordingly. So I'll copy recipe 1. You can see this, I scroll through up to recipe 15. Yes, so I'll scroll through up recipe 15, and then I pick that. So 15 is here, and I'll pick this and stop here. Then I'll copy this, copy and click here, remove that, then go ahead and check and open my paper. Yes, so I'm going to open my paper, which will be this one. So I start a new document. This is a new document. I've opened it, and now it is here. Now from here, the next thing I have to do is to make sure that I have the biggest paper size so that I can easily work with. So what you're going to start, our final book is going to be in 5.5 by 8.5, but for the beginning, as soon as you've got the content, paste it on the largest paper size. Yes, you paste it on the large paper size because it gives you more working space. So you paste it on the large paper size. For me, I'm going to paste it on this paper size, so I'll click here. Let me see layout. You go to layout and choose the paper size, go to size, click here, and then I want letters. Yes, 8.5 by 11, so I'll click on this to get 8.5 by 11. Then go ahead and click here and click this middle one which says merge formatting. Yes, you click on this middle one and paste it. The reason why you click on that middle one is so that you can keep its formatting. You can see that the formatting has been kept here. You can see everything shows that the formatting has been kept. Now from here, after doing this, the next thing you do is apply header 1 and header 2. Yes, you apply header 1 and header 2, but before you apply header 1 and header 2, you have to do the settings. Make sure you do the settings for header 1 and header 2. So how do you do the settings? You come to home. Yes, now from home, you start from normal. Here you set normal. So go here to normal, right click, and then click on modify, which is here. Click on modify. Yes, after clicking on modify, then you change the font to the font you want. So you click here and make sure the font is the font you want. So as you can see, we are on Georgia. Yes, you can use these are the fonts you can use. Yes, I'm showing you now the fonts you can use. The best fonts you can use for normal is Georgia is one of them. Georgia is one of them. Then there's Book Antica. Yes, this one called Book Antica is also good. Then there's this one called Garamond. Yes, this one called Garamond. And then there's Times New Roman. So Garamond, Book Antica, Georgia, and Times New Roman. Those are the ones you can use. they are the ones which are good. The others you can use, but then those are the ones I always use. For me, I know I use those ones. So let me say I want to use book and ticker. I like this book and ticker, so I'll click on it. Yes, you can see that things have changed here. Then I go ahead and click here and make this at 12. Yes, I make this at 12. Then I make sure this is like this is justify alignment. Then you make sure this is like this, and then you make sure this is on automatic. The font color is on automatic. Automatic means black, or you can change it to black. Here, click on black, and you see that black is going to be applied here. From here, you go ahead and click on this new document based on this template. So you click on this, click on OK. Now, as you can see, you see that things have changed here. Yes, so you see that things have changed inside here. Now, let's say you don't like that, you don't like this one. You have clicked here and you don't like this font. Yes, so you go ahead and change the font. Go here and click here, click modify, and then go ahead and click on this and then choose another font. Let's say I want Garamond, so I'll click on Garamond, leave everything the same, click on new font, new document based on this template, click on OK. You can see what has happened. Yes, so this one's the one you should call Garamond. Yes, so if you don't like Garamond, you can go ahead still and click here, click modify, click on this, and then you can now choose the one you want. Let me say I want now Times New Romance. Yes, Times New Romance. So you go ahead and click on it, Times New Romance, leave it at 12, click on new document and click on OK. Now you can see what has happened here, but I think that Garamond is good, so I'm going to use Garamond. So click here, modify, go back here, click on Garamond, and then click on new document based on this template and click on OK. So I like this Garamond, I'm going to use this Garamond. Now from here, the next thing you have to do is go ahead and look for header 1. Yes, heading 1, click on it. Actually highlight a heading, highlight a certain heading, any heading, then go ahead and click here, click on modify. After that, you go ahead and make sure this is at 18. Header 1, you can make it at 18 or 20, 18 or 20. So I'll leave this at 18. So I'll leave this at 18, 18 or 20. Then you go ahead and change the font, or you can even leave it on the same font. Yes, you can leave it on the same font, because why the reason why we try to use different fonts is to create something called contrast. Yes, contrast means you create an ability to differentiate between one or two texts when you're using contrast here. Ability to differentiate. If I increase the size, if I make my normal size at 12 and I make the header 1 at 18, then I'm creating contrast. Header 1 will be bigger than the normal size, and that will create contrast. So that's enough. So you don't need to use another font. Yes, you can use one font as long as there's contrast. Now the reason why you also use different fonts is to create contrast, create ability to differentiate. When the reader is going through this thing, the reader will know that this is different from this. If this is the heading, because it has a different font, then this should be the content. Yes, so now there's a principle of graphic design called repetition. Now repetition says that you can repeat the same thing over and over and over to make the design look good. That's the principle of repetition. So if you repeat the same thing over and over, if you start using this Garamond, if you start using Garamond, and if you use it throughout the design, then you're not violating any rule of graphic design. You're using a rule called repetition, so you can keep using it the way you want. So I'll keep it on Garamond, but I'll change the size to 18. Changing the size alone means I've changed the contrast. So you make sure it is bold here, and then you can go ahead and click on new document based on this template and click on OK. So that means now this one has been selected. Now you can go ahead and set header 2. So click here and modify, and leave it also on Garamond and leave it at 16. Leave it bold, leave it centered, and then leave it like this. Everything is okay. Now you can go ahead and click on new document based on this template and click on OK. So you can see now I have everything set. Yes, now from here, after setting header 1 and header 2 and normal, the next thing you have to do is start to apply the header 1 and header 2. Yes, now in this case we're going to use header 2 only. Yes, we're going to use header 2 only for this. So all I have to just click here, highlight this, click on heading 2. You can see what has happened. It has moved in the middle. Then highlight the second one and click heading 2. Yes, you can see it has moved in the middle as well. Yes, so what I'm going to do is just click here and move it to the next page. You click on, come to insert. After putting the cursor here in front of heading recipe 2, you come to insert and click on page break. You can see that it has gone to the next page. Next thing to do is to come here in front of this one and click on insert page break. Yes, you move to the next page, and then here you give it also header 2. Go ahead and go to home and give it heading 2. You can see it has moved in the middle. Go ahead and do page break for this. Actually, first do page break. I'll do page break that, then I'll page break this one. Click on page break. Yes, page break this one. Click on page break. First do page break for all, then you go ahead and apply header 1 and header 2. So 6, this is number 7, number 8. Where is number 7? Number 7 is here. This is number 8. Number 9 is also here. You go ahead and do that. Number 10 is also here. You go ahead and do that. Yes, number 11 is also here. Go ahead and do that. Number 12 is also here. You go ahead and do that until you finish the last one. So I'm doing this from 13, 14. You remember I told you now I'm doing only for 15. 14, then 15 is here. So I'll do that. 15. Then I'll go ahead and apply header 2 on this. Go home and apply header 2 here. Go ahead and apply it to 14. Header 2. Go ahead and apply it to 13. Give it header 2. Yes. Go ahead and apply it to this header 2. This also header 2. Apply until the last one has header 2. Yes. So after applying this, then you can go ahead and do other things. It will make the things easier for you, because this is now your step-by-step process. It's a step-by-step process because you want to complete writing, the process of writing your book. Yes. So now this is up. I go ahead and apply this. Then I apply on number 5 as we're almost getting done with it. So number 4, you apply. So you can see number 3 already has it. So that means I've already applied header 2 on all the recipes that I want. Now the next thing to do is to clean it up. What do I mean by cleaning? You remove these kind of things, these ones here. Start removing them off. So to remove all, I've just highlight this and remove this one here. Clean it. Just go ahead and clean wherever you find them, clean them out. So I clean it here, remove. Go ahead and clean, go ahead and remove from here. Yes, check down here, remove. Go to the next page, remove. Find the next one, remove. So you can see what has happened. Yes. So now we have a clean document, as you can see. Yes. So the next step is to give them text boxes. Yes, to give them text boxes. Now we're building a skeleton. What we're going to do now, the next thing we're going to do is to build a skeleton around this. Yes, but before we actually build a skeleton, now this is the exact part where you start checking for plagiarism. Yes, at this point you have to check for what we call plagiarism. Here you check plagiarism. Now I'm not going to show you how to check plagiarism because I'm assuming all of you know. Yes, and for me I always do it with my Grammarly, because I can just click on this and it will check for me plagiarism because I'm here. Now for you, all you have to do is copy, maybe copy this one, copy, and take to the paraphrasing tool which you're using, whatever paraphrasing tool you use, whatever plagiarism checking tool you're using. Go ahead and check using it. Yes, after checking using it, then if you see that the content is clean, then you can go ahead and leave it. But if you find any part which is plagiarized, then you take to Quillbot and paraphrase. Yes, take to Quillbot and paraphrase before you actually use it. So let me tell you what this thing you have to take seriously. The most important thing when you're making a book is checking plagiarism. Yes, that's the most important thing. All other things are minor. The most important thing is checking plagiarism. If your book is plagiarized, there's no way it's going to pass through Amazon system. Yes, there's no way it's going to pass through the system. So you make sure you check plagiarism. I'm repeating it, you must check plagiarism. Yes, always check plagiarism. Yes. Now let's leave that part aside. Now let's go to the next part, which is to create the skeleton of the content. Now what do I mean by skeleton of the content? Skeleton of the content means I'm going to create boxes around this content so that they can be, each of them will be like a piece of a puzzle, which I'll just need to fix on the page to make the book. Now to create that, all I have to do is start by highlighting the content from bottom to up. So from down here upwards, I'll highlight them from down upwards. Yes, the reason why I highlight from down upwards is so that they can remain on the same page. so I can remain on this same page. Now let me show you that practically. Now to highlight this one, all I have to do is highlight it like this. After that, go to insert here, then click on text box here, yes, and make sure it opens like this. Then scroll down and come to this thing says draw text box. Yes, since this is highlighted, then if I click on draw text box, it's going to draw a text box around it. Yes, so let me click that, and you see if I click on draw text box, you can see that it has drawn a text box around this content. So I'll highlight the next one also, this one, and I'll click text box and also click draw text box. You can see it has drawn on this one also. Now I highlight this one also, then I click on this and I say draw text box. You can see what has happened. So there's something wrong here. You can see that I missed a thing here. I missed to highlight this one. Now if something like that happens to you, that you miss something or something gets spoiled, yes, if things didn't go according to the way you wanted it to go, always, I repeat, if things didn't go according to the way you wanted it to go, always use this undo button. Yes, always use undo button. Always and always use undo button. If there's any problem, just use undo button to undo it and come back to it later. This undo button is the most important, one of the most important tools when you're doing this. So I'll just click on undo, and you can see the thing has been undone, and then I'm seeing this thing. Now I can undo also this to see what's happening. Now you can see what has happened here. So I'll first highlight this and insert a text box on this first. Click on draw. You can see what has happened. Now I can finish with this one. You see now, another thing, you can see what I've done here. I highlighted this, and then it also highlighted this first text box. Yes, so you don't need to worry about this. Yes, you don't need to worry about this. If you highlight and highlight even the entire table, just make sure that it doesn't highlight this, the heading only. It can highlight any other thing apart from this, and make sure it doesn't highlight the heading only. Now if it highlights this and highlight this and highlight all of this at the same time, when you apply the text box is going to apply to the text which is not in the box only. Yes, I don't know if you've understood that, so let me show you practically. So since I've highlighted this and it has also highlighted this, if I apply the the text box, it will only apply to this and it will leave this the way it is. So if I click on text box and I click on draw text box, there you can see they applied it on this one only and left these ones. Yes, so now from here you go ahead and leave this page alone. Yes, you leave this page alone, so you'll come back and organize this page later. You first go back and put text box on everything in your content. So I'll go and do it for this. Click here, draw text box and draw. You can see it has been drawn. You can stretch here, you stretch this. Yes, stretch it until it moves this thing away. You can see that, and then you go ahead and put the text box on this one also. You can see if it highlights this, just go ahead and click on do your text box. Don't worry about it. Click this, you can see it has highlighted it. Now you can move it down if you want. Yes, you can move it down, then you go ahead and highlight this and then click here and draw text box. Yes, you can see now what has happened. Yes, you can also move it if you want. Yes, you can move it like that a little bit down and then leave it here. So as long as it's on the same page, just leave it the way it is. You'll organize it later. Go ahead and draw text box for the rest of the thing. So I'll highlight this, click on insert, draw text box, draw. Yes, go ahead for the next one, highlight everything, draw text box, draw. You can see that. Go ahead and highlight for this one, draw text box, draw. You can see what has happened. Yes, so leave it there. Go ahead and check this one, highlight this, draw text box, draw. Yes, you can go ahead and highlight all of this, draw text box, draw. You can see what has happened. And then you move this. You want this thing to be in a straight line, so just click here and move this a little. Move this so that it can move that content. See, it has moved it here. Then you draw a text box, click here and draw. You see what has happened here. You leave that page, go to the next page, highlight this, draw text box, draw. Yes, then you can move this so that it can move this thing. It has moved it down here. You can see there's a problem here. Yes, it's a problem, so you just go ahead and click undo. It has undone it. Go ahead and highlight up to here, click on draw text box, draw. Yes, then move this so that you can move it down, highlight this thing down, leave the upper one, highlight this thing down, click here to draw text box, draw. You can see what has happened, and highlight this one also. Actually, if you don't like this, then you can click here and move this one a little bit down, then highlight this, and click here and click on draw. You can see what has happened. Leave this page, go ahead and highlight this lower part. Yes, highlight this lower part, click here, click on draw. Yes, you're going to draw the whole skeleton, so highlight this, click on this and draw. So let me first finish this, let me finish drawing this, and then we can come back and continue with the video. As you can see, this is recipe number 15, so we have almost done almost all the recipes. You can see recipe 14, recipe 13 up to recipe 1. Yes, from 1 to recipe number 15. Now you can do this for as many recipes as possible. Now what we have done here is that we have created building blocks. All you have to do is now move and place them in the correct place, then add images. If you don't want to add images, you can leave the images. If you want to add images, you can add the images. Just rearrange them, and now you have your own content. Yes, now the first thing you have to do from here is go ahead and go to layout and create the margins. Yes, first make sure you click here and create margins. So you click here, margins. You can see we are doing narrow. Let me say normal. Actually, I want to do normal, so click on normal. Now when it comes to margin, Amazon, the margin of Amazon wants you to have at least 0.1 0 point what, let me get it. So Amazon talks about margin according to these numbers. Yes, these numbers you can see. If you have your pages from 24 page to 150 pages, 24 to 150 pages, then your inside margin should be at least 0.375, 0.375. This is the least margin you can have. Yes, 0.375 for the inside. Then the outside is determined by bleed. If there is no bleed, then it is 0.25, but if there is bleed, then it's still 0.375. That means most of our books are going to be with bleed. Yes, the one we are going to do is going to have a bleed. Therefore we need 0.375 and 0.375. So 0.375 and 0.375 equal margin in both inside and outside. So 0.375 inside, 0.375 inside. Now if your book is 151 pages to 300 pages, then you need to have 0.5 and 0.35 outside. So inside has to be bigger than outside. Yes, then if you have 300 pages to 500 pages, you need 0.65 and 0.375. So the outside margin is constant, for bleed. Yes, when you have bleed, the inside margin, the outside margin is constant, and the inside margin is the one keeps on changing. Yes, so if you know this, then you are good to go. Now the one funny thing is that when you're using the margin which already, actually no, now I need you to take this carefully, take this seriously. If we are talking about margin, yes, if we are talking about margin, these margins, these measurements which Amazon has given, yes, these measurements which Amazon has given, they are the least you can do. Yes, because you can even see here they say at least means it is the smallest you can have. That means if you have your outside margin is 0.4, that means it is still okay to use 0.4. If your outside margin is 0.5, that means you still have you are within the range, because they said at least, that means this is the least. But if you have 0.2, then this is wrong. This is not allowed by Amazon. If you have 0.29, this is also still wrong. If you have 0.3, this is still wrong. Yes, 0.300, this is still wrong by Amazon. But if it goes more, it goes 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, then it is still allowed by Amazon. Yes, you can do this. Yes, so it can be more but cannot be less. That's why they said at least. So at least. Now if you check the ones in Microsoft Word document, the default settings in Microsoft Word document, you'll see that most of the margins are more than this. That's why it's allowed to use those ones which are already default in Microsoft Word document. So if I come back to Microsoft Word document here and click on margins, you can start seeing here. You see 0.75. 0.75 is bigger than what? Is bigger than the settings for Amazon, so it's still allowed. Now 1 is also bigger than 1 is bigger than that for Amazon, so it's also still allowed. So that means the one it can be bigger than the one for Amazon but cannot be smaller than it. Yes, so if I decide to use this one, 0.5 is also bigger than 0.3, so it's allowed to use this. Then you can say 0.75 still. 0.75 is bigger than 0.3, so this is still allowed to be used. Yes, so then 1 0.23. This is also still allowed to be used. This one is 1.25. It's also allowed to be used. Even this one, you can still use it. Yes, you can use actually all of them. All these defaults can work because they are more than 0.3. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm trying to say. So when you're dealing with margin, you see what is more than, you do what is more than the recommended, because Amazon said at least. At least means nothing is supposed to be smaller than what their measurements that they have given. So that means it's actually okay for me to use this or this. So I'll click on normal and use this normal. So I'll click on normal. If I click on normal, you can see things are moved to the center. Yes, so it has pushed these things to the center. Now I can start my work here. Yes, I can start my work here. But before I actually start my work, the way I can see this video has gone too long. It's now 30 minutes inside, so I'm going to stop it here, and then I create another one to show you now how I can finish designing this. So yeah, you can click and watch the next video for how to design this thing.